Hello and welcome to Fan 365. I am Ubongani and I'm joined by Nick as well as Osipo to discuss one of the biggest games so far this season. It's Chelsea hosting Liverpool at Stamford Bridge, and you know, we're here to give you fantasy pointers. Who should you have in your team and who we think you should not have? Gents, it's always a pleasure to be with you. A big game this coming weekend. First question, and I'll pose it to you, Sipo. Who is your captain's pick for this game?
Hi fans, thanks Bongani for the welcome. It's a big one, eh? It's a big one. Chelsea, Liverpool. My captain's pick for this one would be Caicedo.
Moise Caicedo.
Yeah, Moise Caicedo in terms of consistency and getting the points. I think he's been consistent. I mean, looking at the last 3 matches that Chelsea has played, he's accumulated some nice fantasy points there. Yeah.
Nick, would you agree? I mean, he's gone for a more kind of like defensive player. Maybe you would want to go for an offensive one. Salah, we know Palmer won't be there. But maybe Joao Pedro, are they worth a shout?
Yeah, look, I think it's not a bad shout. And as my colleague mentioned, defense wins your leagues. Look at what Mourinho did at Chelsea for a number of years.
Yeah.
I think it's not a bad option to have. My pick, personally, I would go with a Cucurella. I know it's a spanner in the works.
Okay.
Something about that majestic Spanish hair that just keeps me going. You know, consistently he's been performing. If we look at it in our previous match, he came up with the second most fantasy points for Chelsea with 59. Only 3 points behind, 62 with Caicedo. I think it's not a bad shout. I think that's the way to go.
Wow, yay, like I'm getting answers that I was not expecting, because usually, you know, like fans like to go for the players that get the goals, the players that get the assists, but both guys have decided to go for defensive players. Who are you going to go for this particular game? Now, the next question that I want to ask, who do you think is that player that is under the radar but will contribute in terms of points for this particular game?
Sure, I think it's going to be Gravenberch. Gravenberch, you know, they say that Salah is the Egyptian king. I think he's the Dutch prince. He's coming up in the ranks. If we look at it in the past 3 games, consistently, he's been performing out Salah in terms of fantasy points. I think that's going to make a huge difference in terms of your overall score. That's where I'd go.
Gravenberch, do you agree or do you have a different view?
It is a decent pick. As that surprise pick. Though I would go for Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea. Looking at the attacking players for this match, Salah has been sleeping. Ekatike, I don't know what's gone to his head in the last few matches. But again, after that red card, you'd say it's more or less the same with him and Joao Pedro. Because they had the great start, scoring goals in every game, and suddenly they went quiet. Liverpool has been underperforming in the last few matches, so I don't see the Liverpool attacking players having that huge impact. So yeah, I'd go for Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea is missing players in that attack with injuries to Delap and Cole Palmer. You definitely have Enzo to rely on. Yeah.
Very interesting one, and I'm glad you actually touched on the red card. I wanted to talk about that. Chelsea, for the last 3 games, they've been getting red cards. They seem to have forgotten what it feels like to finish a game with 11 players. Do you consider that when you're picking your team for this particular match?
Yeah, I honestly think that's a big factor. You know, they call Liverpool the Reds, but I think it should be called Chelsea now with the amount they've been receiving. So it's a difficult one to predict because, you know, in the game of football, we know anything can happen.
It's true.
Anything can happen. But if we look at the timeline, 1 Baba, 2 Baba, 3 Baba,
3 is too much.
Too much.
Too much.
Nah, coming to think of it, it makes it a bit harder for anyone to make their selection in the next match, because you have to consider what you never think about, which is which Chelsea player would get a red card, so that I don't have him in my team. Because okay, you would expect that a lot of fans out there picked Joao Pedro, and you wouldn't expect him to get a red card, but I guess it's also the team he's playing for that is being followed by red cards right now. So yeah,
agreed.
Okay, so since we're on this roll, I want to be controversial just for a bit, if you can just allow me. So there's Florian Wirtz, big signing from the Bundesliga. My question to you guys, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate here. Is he an elite on the pitch, but a fraudster for fantasy points? Because people have been talking about how disappointing he's been. He's still yet to score his first goal for Liverpool. So is he a fraudster? Like, is he someone that you'd consider picking for your team?
One thing for certain, I definitely wouldn't have him in my team.
You.
I think with the money that Liverpool has spent, and again, no impact so far since the league has started, it's something else. Maybe definitely a fraud. You could say that.
Yeah.
When it comes to fantasy points, but he's not one to pick for me.
Do you know what? I'd like to touch on that and say that Florian Wirtz, in my opinion, I think he should be cast in the next 007 movie. Do you know what? 0 goals, 0 assists in 7 games. He's the new Bond. He's the new Bond.
You can say that again.
So hey, you might be, because this is a game of skill. This is where skill beats chance. So if you want to prove that Wirtz is definitely the player that Liverpool fans and Liverpool as a club think he is, you might have him in your team. And maybe this is the game where he might surprise a lot of us. Now, my next question, and this is just before we wrap up, will this be a high-scoring game? Because, it's a big game. Chelsea defensively, not doing so well. Liverpool themselves defensively, not doing so well. They've conceded quite a few goals. They've been winning with last-minute goals in the last few matches. But do you guys think this will be a high-scoring game? And is this a game where you will pick more forward players than defensive players?
So I think that it's tough to call because if you look at the amounts of injuries that Chelsea have, it also plays a big factor in your picks. If this was based in South Africa, Netcare would be busy. The amount of injuries they have.
Yeah.
So it's a difficult one to predict because they're not at their full capacity, their full squad.
Yes.
For what they have, I think they've been doing decent. So I think we'll have to see on the day.
Siga?
For this one, I'd say with the Chelsea injuries, Liverpool deep in form, this match will be won or lost in the midfield. I think from both teams, the players who are getting you the fantasy points currently, it's their midfielders. So even the goals, you might be looking at the midfielders to chip in. Yeah.
Okay, it makes sense. Now, here's the last one. Ederson injured against Galatasaray, and the coach has said he's 99.9% sure that he'll miss the game against Chelsea. And this is a chance for Mamadishvili to make his debut for Liverpool. Is that a player that you would consider picking, given that Robert Sanchez is error-prone? What would be your thinking there just before we wrap up?
Sure. I think I wouldn't pick him purely because I can't spell his name. When I'm looking from the list, it'll be hard. No, I'm joking. I think it's a good opportunity. He proved himself well on loan last season. So I think, why not give the guy a chance? You have nothing to lose. It's still early days in the league.
Yeah.
If he fumbles, it is what it is, but you'll never know until you try, right?
True. Siga, what's your view on that?
I think it would be a good pick, again considering his value and considering your budget. So it would be someone who with a bit of a low salary at Fanstars Fantasy. So yeah, based on not spending much and looking after my budget, to maybe be able to pick your Mo Salah up front, or your Van Dijk at the back, or your Cucurella, which are players who are mostly picked. Spending on those players would be wiser, and then having Ederson as one of your options that are not expensive.
For sure.
You've said it all. I couldn't have said it any better. Do remember that when you do pick your players, it has to be within budget. You have 100 to make sure that you pick your players, your best 11 that you can put together. Remember, here at Fanstars, we are so generous. We even give you bench players for free.
There we go.
We're saying 100, pick your best 11. The 4 on the bench, we're giving you for free. So this is Fan 365. We are excited about the game. We want to see your picks. Let's meet each other on the leaderboards.